A very good morning to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the inauguration of KLE Law College Intra. We now begin the program by invoking God's blessings and benevolence. I now call upon Sahitya for the invocation song.
ಬೇವಿನ ಬೀಜವ ಬಿತ್ತಿ ಬೆಲ್ಲದ ಕಟ್ಟೆಯ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಬೇವಿನ ಬೀಜವ ಬಿತ್ತಿ ಬೆಲ್ಲದ ಕಟ್ಟೆಯ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಆಕಳ ಹಾಲ ನೆರೆದು ಜೇನುತುಪ್ಪ ಹೊಯ್ದಡೆ ಆಕಳ ಹಾಲ ನೆರೆದು ಜೇನುತುಪ್ಪ ಹೊಯ್ದಡೆ ಸಿಹಿಯಾಗಬಲ್ಲೋದೇ ಕಹಿಯಾಗುದಯ್ಯ ಸಿಹಿಯಾಗಬಲ್ಲೋದೇ ಕಹಿಯಾಗುದಯ್ಯ ಬೇವಿನ ಬೀಜವ ಬಿತ್ತಿ ಬೆಲ್ಲದ ಕಟ್ಟೆಯ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಶಿವ ಭಕ್ತರಲ್ಲದವರ ಕೂಡ ನುಡಿಯಲಾಗದು ಶಿವ ಭಕ್ತರಲ್ಲದವರ ಕೂಡ ನುಡಿಯಲಾಗದು ಕೂಡಲ ಸಂಗಮ ದೇವಾ ಕೂಡಲ ಸಂಗಮ ದೇವಾ ಬೇವಿನ ಬೀಜವ ಬಿತ್ತಿ ಬೆಲ್ಲದ ಕಟ್ಟೆಯ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಆಕಳ ಹಾಲ ನೆರೆದು ಜೇನುತುಪ್ಪ ಹೊಯ್ದಡೆ ಸಿಹಿಯಾಗಬಲ್ಲೋದೇ ಕಹಿಯಾಗುದಯ್ಯ ಸಿಹಿಯಾಗಬಲ್ಲೋದೇ ಕಹಿಯಾಗುದಯ್ಯ ಬೇವಿನ ಬೀಜವ ಬಿತ್ತಿ ಬೆಲ್ಲದ ಕಟ್ಟೆಯ ಕಟ್ಟಿ.
Thank you, Sahitya, for the divine rendition. I now request Mr. Ashwin Menon, Assistant Professor, to deliver the welcome address.
Dear, dear esteemed guests, delegates, advisors, colleagues, and my dear students, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the first Intra MUN inauguration of KLE Law College. Today marks the beginning of a remarkable journey towards creating a better world through diplomacy, leadership, and critical thinking. This event marks the start of an exciting and meaningful experience, which will undoubtedly challenge, inspire, and transform. As we embark on this journey, we are reminded of the critical role that MUN plays in developing leadership skills, fostering critical thinking, and promoting global awareness. This forum provides an opportunity for us to engage with peers from diverse backgrounds and cultures, building empathy, respect, and understanding. The MUN committee of KLE Law College has successfully completed 3 MUN workshops in this academic year, and it is with great pride that I am letting you know that many of our students have been selected as best delegates and have also received commendations from MUN competitions. Over the next couple of days, that is today and tomorrow, we will be witnessing our students working together to identify solutions to complex problems, drawing on our collective knowledge, creativity, and expertise. To this inaugural session, I welcome our chief guest, Naman Mankadari, who is an advocate and also the co-founder of the Indian Conclave. I welcome you, sir. I would also like to utilize this opportunity to welcome our dear principal, Professor Dr. J. Mallikarjunayya. I welcome you, sir. I'd also like to welcome our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Manoj Kumar V. Hiraman. I welcome you, sir. And I also welcome all the students and delegates and my dear colleagues to this event. I would like to conclude this by urging all the delegates to approach these discussions with an open mind and a willingness to learn from others. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again.
you, sir. I now call upon Mr. Aditya Kamal, a student of our college, to introduce the guests of today's event.
Greetings everybody. Thank you Yosef, for the opportunity. And starting with now, I would like to introduce our chief guest, Naman Vankari. Naman Vankari is a passionate social worker and advocate by profession practicing in the courts of Karnataka, as well as an entrepreneur serving as the co-founder, senior partner of the Indian Conclave, and youth-based education and leadership building organization. He is also an assistant professor of law at BMS Law College and also at TEDx. Yes, he is a leader who believes in the motto "Hard work alone tracks." A few notable positions of his include student at Bali University representing at the Advisory Board of National Services, president of ULC Law College and Department of Studies in Law, Bali University MUN. He also addressed the first Global Youth Forum Conference hosted by the Ministry of Justice, Government of Japan, and UNODC. Apart from being an active social worker, he is an eloquent orator and a celebrated monarch across the country. He is a strong advocate of one needs to pray as if everything depends upon God and work as if everything depends upon man. We welcome you, sir.
Namaskara and a very good morning to one and all present here. Thank you. At the outset, I'd like to thank the Honorable Principal, Dr. Mallikarjunaya sir, Dr. Manoj Kumar Hiremat sir, the IQAC Director, and the faculty coordinators of KLE Model UN Society. And most importantly, the significant element of this conference, the cornerstone of the future leadership, and most importantly, the fraternity that I am proud of being a part of, the youth community. Hence, for the next few minutes, as I have the proud privilege of addressing you, I would like to address you all as delegates, ladies and gentlemen, and not as students, because today you don the responsibility of a similar kind, which is donned by those people who take up the role of ambassadors, who, after a very meticulous selection process, go on to represent their countries in the United Nations, various intergovernmental organizations, if nothing, the embassies and consulates of various countries across the globe. And with equal amount of significance, as I get to understand that Lok Sabha, which has been my personal favorite committee in every model UN simulation, the simulation of Lok Sabha is happening, hence we have the future parliamentarians as well. But stating things in a particular order and in a particular record, I think previously in this very room when I had engaged, I spoke to most of you all regarding the United Nations, the emergence of the United Nations, what led to the emergence of United Nations, the contribution of the United Nations, and its significance. Today we shall take a slight detour and understand that as the youth, as the future of the global world, of a globalized world, what is that we can do as individuals, as lawyers, as advocates, and above all, citizens of India and citizens of global community, what is that we can do to make this globe a better place? And on this, I want to ask you also, just because I am speaking as a chief guest, that doesn't mean that it is going to be a monologue presentation and you are nodding your heads. Some of you all are dozing off to sleep and, like just make me look like I'm addressing the window panes and the walls and the roof above my head. Now, let me try to have a dialogue with you. What is the theme of this year's G20? Which country is the president of G20? So what is the theme?
One world, one earth, one life.
What is the theme of G20? One is common in what sir said. Anyone? How many of you all are representing delegate of India in your respective committees? It's okay, this is your Intra MUN. It's not like I'm putting you all in a room of 300 people from across the country and embarrassing you, no. And the fact that I take some amount of credit if sir allows me for the fact that I've trained you in MUNs, you can feel free to get yourself embarrassed in the room by saying wrong answers. There's no right answer. What is the theme of India's G20? Let's shuffle the order. One earth, one future. One earth, one future, one family. Yeah? So, now coming back to the United Nations and quoting the second Secretary General of the United Nations, Dag Hammarskjöld, and I quote, the United Nations was created to not take mankind to heaven. I repeat, the United Nations was created to not take mankind to heaven. They did not believe in a utopian society. Now, what is a utopian society? An idealistic society. Is utopian society a reality? No. The last time we ever heard of a utopian society? French. It came as a part of a French Revolution. Now just elections have happened. Every party has a manifesto to say that we come to power, this is what we are going to implement. To whom you voted and what you did is secondary. I'll come to that later. But during the French Revolution, to motivate the people, to appeal to the masses, they came up with a concept called as utopian society. And as a consequence of utopian society, they coined three terms: liberty, equality, and fraternity. But after the French Revolution, with Napoleon Bonaparte becoming the king, and with democracy put in its place after the Battle of Waterloo, do you really call France as a utopian country today? So what is this utopia? And when was the closest we came to the realistic aspect of utopianism? This very land. And is it what I am telling you today? No. How many of you have been to Hampi? Or anyone from the Vijayanagara district? Hampi, Ballari, Gangavati? So yeah, we have some people. The travelers have told that, like under the king called Krishna Deva Raya, you are living in what they envisioned to be a Ramaraj. Anyone from Tamil Nadu? Have you traveled to Tanjavur? If you have not traveled to Tanjavur, how many of you have watched this movie, Ponniyin Selvan? Not of them. Both the parts. So what was the capital of the Chola Empire? Tanjavur. The foreign travelers, the Portuguese travelers, write that here is a monarch who on one side has conquered half of Asia. On the other side, he believes in scientific temple. He is building temples as a message to explain science. And on the other side, he is the most formidable administrator. Like I don't see a poor man living on this Chola land who's living on the banks of Ganga. Sorry, Kaveri, I stand corrected. And let us again go a bit more ancient. The closest we came to an utopian society is in the scriptures of Valmiki, and the scripture is called Ramayana. He says that here is an empire that has never been defeated, and that's why you call this land as Ayodhya. What does Ayodhya mean in Sanskrit? Minute a Ram Janmabhoomi case goes to the Supreme Court, everybody takes to the Facebook. You start commenting on religion, there is xenophobia on one side, there is hyper-nationalism on the other side. But when you go to the root of it, what is the meaning of Ayodhya in Sanskrit? A land which was never defeated. Here is a land that rests on the banks of river Sarayu, which has never been defeated. Here is a land where even the beggar is wearing jewels. Here is a land where there is gender equality, because if you again go back to the same scripture, it was someone from the transgender community who escorted Rama to the banks of Sarayu, and there he meets Guha, and then All the way from Balakanda, now the Aranyakanda starts. He gets into Dandakaranya. And all the way, even during the Aranyakanda, he encounters Sabari. So there is gender equality. So this is where we see utopianism. But that apart, now coming back to United Nations and what exactly is United Nations? So this goes back to year 2020 when I actually had an opportunity to go and attend one of the sessions in the United Nations. I think in my previous lecture when I was here, I also told you about my visit to the Harvard, and it was during the similar tour. It was in the same tour when I had also got an opportunity to be in the United Nations, and we had an interaction with a lot of ambassadors, and there was this one ambassador from Sweden with whom we were having an informal meeting off the record. So it was during one of those networking sessions. So the first question he asked us was, what was United Nations? So we were all then the qualified youth who were, like amongst the 20, 30 privileged members. We were one amongst them, so we were in the United Nations. So we were trying to show off all our intellectual mechanisms. We were like, yeah, United Nations is that body which has like these many principal organs, these many sub-organs, which is a body which has so much of budget. It is a body with a peacekeeping force, a body that gave a solution to the ongoing Korean crisis, a body which did not allow the Cold War to escalate. Everything that was in our mind was being reflected on. After a point of time, the ambassador had a small power nap. He was like, okay. Then he slept. Then we're like, okay, sir, you tell us what it is all about. And putting it in simple terms as to what he said, he quotes, it is an organization which has no voice. It is an organization which has no voice when US and Russia are fighting. And this was told to me when? In 2020. Now, how many of you think this is true? It is an organization which has no voice when US and Russia are in a conflicting position. Why do you think so? Why do you think so? So she's wearing blue also.
Because history has shown us that whenever it comes to US or Russia being in a war, the UN is generally always silent on the ground. It never gives any guidelines or never intervenes.
What's your answer, man?
Syria, Sudan, Yugoslavia, Kosovo, Albania, Serbia, crisis.
Which committee are you in?
Crisis.
She's the delegate to watch out. She has done research. Yeah. Now, she said when US and Russia are fighting, we have seen that history is an evidence. Then she went on to give her research. She's talking about Sudan, she's talking about Yugoslavia, she's talking about Syria. Oh, wow. Will I make sense if I add another country to your list? Ukraine? No, my answer was China. Now today China has almost taken over the string of pearls. How many of you know what is the string of pearls? How many of you have heard of this existence of a sea called a South China Sea? China has gone on building artificial islands. And the reason? To test their arms and ammunitions. And in the United Nations, you have a particular law which governs the laws of sea, known as UNEC laws, Convention of Laws of Seas, UNCOLS. So, what is the relevance of UNEC clause? So, on one side, you had the Cold War, immediately after the World War II subsided, wherein now two supergiants, as the international diplomats put it, the bear and the eagle, went on a fighting spree. They felt that the earth is not sufficient to do our arms test. They took the arms race to space. Who was the first man to go to space? Neil Armstrong, are you sure? Yuri Gagarin is from Soviet Union's initiative. So they said, okay, here was a man who broke the ozone. Sorry. Here is a man, I literally broke the mic. Here is a man who broke the ozone layer. So we will do one thing, we will go to the moon. So the arms race, the first space expedition was there. And now coming back, when US and Russia are in a conflict, it is a voiceless organization. And when both of them are maintaining peace, it is an organization which has no relevance. How many of you will agree to this? When both of them are in a conflicting position, it is a voiceless organization. And when both of them have come to truce, it is of no relevance. But it was in 2020 and it was in the month of February. And in 2020, the same month, but in the month of July, I write a mail to him saying, "Sir, I am very sorry, but I would like to object to what you said. I don't agree with your views." Any guesses why? He said this to me in February 2020. July, I write him a mail. What happened in the middle? COVID-19. So it was during the COVID-19 that the world opened its eyes. The relevance of the United Nations organization took the forefront. How? How? Hello, people, you are here to debate. Yeah? How did United Nations organization as an institution take relevance during the COVID? Huh? How? Through the World Health Organization. Then you had a body called as the World Health Organization, which led the discussions from the forefront, funding research, providing guidelines, giving the do's and don'ts to member nations, sent its delegation all the way to Wuhan to identify it. And I think it's one of the biggest investigations ever done. Just still left you in the gray area, but there's a lot of research going on in the Wuhan laboratory. There is a documentary, in fact, on Netflix called as the Wuhan Conspiracy. And in fact, one of the agendas you're dealing with is biological warfare. Correct? And in today's 21st century, wherein the last time you ever saw a country test a nuclear missile was in 2017, 2018. And what is the significance of yesterday? May 11th? Good. So Pokhran test. So now you are living in that generation wherein countries are not looking into the aspect of arms race. After Donald Trump's initiative, the Singapore initiative, wherein he bought both North Korea and South Korea on the same desk, I don't think there is a conflict as rigid as it used to be in the initial days of the 21st century. Now the battlefield is on the biological level. The domain is biology. How many of you truly believe that, because by now I understand that you would have done the role of various countries and you would have done some significant research, how many of you truly believe that China has a hand in this COVID-19? How many of you believe that this is an act of biological war? Don't tell me all the allocations are now pro-China, nobody is from NATO. You're all the executive board, huh? Oh wow. No one's here pro-NATO? Or is it that you guys have not done enough research? Now, how many of you like McDonald's? Now, be very honest, it's okay. It's not like if we have a good majority, maybe sir can take a small consensus and install a small McDonald's. And don't tell me that smile was sarcastic. Yeah. How many of you like Pizza Hut? Domino's? Yeah. What if I tell you that this is an act of biological war? What if I tell you that this is an act of biological war? I'm not building any conspiracies over here. McDonald's, how many of you have watched this web series, sorry, the movie on Amazon, The Founder? You have done it. It talks about how McDonald's founder went door to door and built what is today the world's largest global food chain called as McDonald's, correct? How many of you all believe that McDonald's is not healthy food? That's a good number. Now you tell me that this year 2023 is declared as a particular year dedicated to a particular grain. What is it? And anybody from Mandya side here? Mandya is millets. So what about millets? Huh? Protein, no. Now, I'm not asking it from a diet perspective. Are you dieting by any chance? What is so significant about millet in 2023? Yeah, it's known as super crop, okay? No, 2023, the United Nations has declared this year 2023 to be of some significance. What is it?
National Year of Millets.
The year of millets. This year is dedicated for millets. So even if you go to Delhi or you go to the Parliament canteen or you see there are a lot of these millet melas. Why? Because we want to promote the consumption of millet. We want to show that millet is a method of there is the way forward. Now, why am I taking it to that element and what now? Now today, when you say that there's a biological warfare, America through their FDI policies, minute India opened its door in 1991, it was not the hardware components or the software components that came in first. The first thing that entered India was food chain. The food chain industry. It was Coca-Cola taking over Campa, McDonald's, Domino's. These food industries entered first, and after which followed all the pharmacy came in, after which hardware components came in, defense came in, and other materials came in. Why? Because they realized that this is a nation which by its ancestral lineage is a nutrient nation. Today, you take in our DNA, you take in our genetics. And you just see the amount of diseases found in the Middle Eastern countries, you see the amount of diseases found in the European countries, the amount of dyslexias, even in mental health. Today, when we are talking about mental health as a core issue, even in mental health, there are various dimensions to it, various fragments to it, various symptoms to various kinds of mental health. You see the nature of mental health found in India, and you see the kind of mental health issues that the European countries or Western countries in general are facing. For example, have you ever heard of someone suffering from hydrophobia in India? It happens when a dog bites you and a rabies dog bites you. Cases are there. I'm not neglecting the fact. Compare that. Why? Because genetically your ancestors have been consuming these millets, your food grains, your food habits. The environment in India has been that strong. Today, America, when Obama's leadership wanted to preach about climate change, it's something like this, like you are talking about peace in the earlier when during the Bush's regime. On one side, you funded these terror organizations, and today you are running an anti-terror campaign. Similarly, you are the country that emitted the highest amount of carbon, and today you are talking about climate change. And you are holding countries like India, Africa, Latin American countries accountable, and they are lecturing us on pollution. So now today the United Nations, the focus of United Nations has completely changed from the arms race. Today, when the aspect that is dominating on the table is about nutrient consumption. When India in 2016 proposed in the United Nations that we have to promote good health, on what nuances? Sustainable development goal, quality health, good health and well-being. When that was being promoted, 160 odd countries came in support and said, oh India, you have something called as yoga. Why don't you make that as a global phenomenon? And we started with International Yoga Day. And remind you, when yoga was being tabled, no other resolution in the past, in the history of United Nations, got an astounding support the way yoga did. So this is the only draft resolution in the history of the United Nations which got the highest number of votes. So what do I intend to say by this? So gone are the days wherein these intergovernmental organizations, as magnanimous as the United Nations, focused on arms control, focused on arms race. Today the focus has changed. Today the dimension has changed. The area of branding, since I'm an entrepreneur, I want to put it in my commerce terms. The area of branding has changed. Today the priority is sustainable development goals. How many SDGs do we have? 21? 17. Today the focus is on sustainable development goals. Today the focus is on good health. Today the focus is on promoting quality of living. Now when I say you are living a life of dignity, what are the indicators? Every year you have World Bank and various organizations like the IMF publishing these reports. What determines the index to say that you are leading a good life? Is it the wealth you possess? Yeah. What is a quality life indicator? What are your quality life indicators? Is it the wealth you possess, the family you belong to, the country you belong to? None of it. Huh? Health, the to put it in specific terms, nutrition, education, employment. These are the parameters that determines a quality health index of a country, of a dignified living being. Read Amartya Sen, Idea of Justice. Read Amartya Sen, Argumentative India. Now, today, when this is the focus of the United Nations, what is India's role in the same aspect? And with this, I want to conclude. What is India's role? 1947, when we became an independent country, and becoming the Prime Minister of India in 1947 was as good as committing suicide. Why? Can anyone tell me what are the 2-3 challenges that we were facing as a nation? When we on August 15, 1947, when we became an independent India.
When partition happened, there was
Partition happened. One. Second, literacy rate was low. But let us think more big. Partition on the eastern and the western borders. And the eastern border, something else happened. Yeah. Huh? POP crisis. What is the POP crisis? Land problems. Communal rights, as a consequence of partition. Famine. Poverty. Civil war. Did the United Kingdom give us funds? No, they didn't. Did USA give us funds? No, they didn't. Did any of the European countries come in the aid of India? In fact, they went around mocking us. What is this Constituent Assembly? Such a large country with so much of diversities. Half of it is like 80% of the geography is consisting of princely states. How will they come together? How will they have a law? How is it going to make sense? Then we ended up under the leadership of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and many other erudite framers of the Constitution. We came up with a document. They said that such a big country and such a large constitution, how can you bind that diversity under one rule? Ambedkar says, we did not prepare a document which is a done document. We prepared a document which is a living document which will move with the wheel of time. That it is a document which is rigid on certain aspects, flexible on certain aspects, which will change according to time. So we are not done yet. We have just begun. And Nehru says, India is a country which has many diversities. I acknowledge all the diversified points that you are telling me. But we have an invisible thread. That invisible thread in the form of customs, in the form of a myth, in the form of a history, in the form of a heritage, which will bind us as one country. And let us see what is the future. And with time and with future, again, when we were facing another famine and before the Green Revolution took shape and improvised our agriculture sector, the Americans were giving us something called as the PL 480. Does anyone know what is this PL 480?
Wheat.
It was a wheat which was given to cattle in the United States of America that was given to India. In 1960, there was a very famous English Hindi song. Mera juta hai Japani, mera topi. Huh? That song, he says that my cap is from Russia, my juta hai Japani, my clothes is from UK, my cap is from Russia, dil hai Hindustani. Huh?
my pant is from US, my heart is Indian.
So you did not have anything of your own but for your heart. But today, you just go to a railway station. You see Vande Bharat Express. What does that symbolize? Starting from a nut bolt to a train engine, everything is made in India, made in Bharat. Today, Tata is acquiring Singapore Airlines so that they come and merge, and Air India, India's national carrier, goes out to become one of the biggest airlines to have ever produced in the aviation history. This is our generation. And today, since you are speaking about electoral bonds, when these Western jurists, Western authors were criticizing India, In 1953, when we had our first general election, we came up with the concept of universal adult franchise. Now, what is this universal adult franchise? Wherein every person, as long as you are a citizen of India, how many of you have voted? Please show me your finger with great amount of pride. This very ink on your finger is not just the 20 minutes you spent on the queue and press the button. Remember that 100 years ago, your forefathers and ancestors have been hanged to death to make sure that today you are pressing a button. Your previous generation people have slogged in and day out, questioning the world order to make sure that you live in a free, fearless, bold, and an independent nation. And today, when we say that universal adult franchise, especially how many women have voted? Please raise your fingers, please. How many women in the house have gone out and voted? Remind you that this element, this privilege of right to vote is not there to women in many countries. European countries, in fact, gave women the right to vote in 1970s and 1980s. Saudi Arabia and the other Middle Eastern countries gave women the right to vote like 5-6 years ago. Like, I mean, in wherever they had, of course, though it's a monarchical country, wherever they have aspects like referendum and all that. In so many countries across the globe, in Latin American countries today, you don't have right to vote. In certain areas of England and certain European countries today, when aspects like referendum or a plebiscite comes into picture, women are not allowed to vote. There are associations built where only men can go and vote. And when in 1953 India had its first general election, was it even a matter of question? I'm asking you. Is it that anybody who is living in this geography, who is a citizen of India, will be the one who will be coming and casting their vote? Now that is the geographical progress. That is a societal progress. That is a political progress. And today, embracing all the criticism, questioning, bantering, badgering by the Western scholars who time and again questioned our credibility, questioned our economy, thought that we are going to be a failed state. In fact, there was this one Western scholar called Donamore, who was considered to be the greatest constitutional expert of his times. He said that Indian constitution is a failed body which will not go for more than 5 years. And he, as a counterpart, goes on to write the Sri Lankan constitution. And guess for how many years there it lasted? 2 years. Well, the Indian constitution today, do you ever say that, oh, this is a constitution which is useless? Or this is a constitution which needs, which needs to be scrapped and we need to come up with a new book? You say, yes, we need amendments. In fact, in 2000, during Atal Bihari Vajpayee government, Justice Venkatachalaya Commission was formed. And what was the commission's recommendation? That that there are some structural reforms that the constitution needs. Through various institutions of democracy, today you are a proud, independent, bold and a fearless country. When the war is happening between Ukraine and Russia, you can sympathize with Ukraine but trade with Russia and nobody is questioning. Today, when Sudan is happening, there was this operation called as Operation Kaveri. Wow. So Operation Kaveri, wherein the entire world is distorted, but you are going and fearlessly bringing your citizens out. There's an earthquake in Turkey. Your country is the first country sending in disaster relief to do the groundwork and save their citizens and come out. When COVID happened, we not only evacuated people from our countries through Operation Maitri, but we also evacuated people from other countries, including Pakistan and United States of America. So this is the democratic institution that we are living in, and these 20 years will play a very, very, very crucial role. Because why? Now you are living in that generation wherein you are thinking global but living local. Now when I say that you are thinking global, living local, what do I mean? You are going back to that society wherein we as a civilization never believed in utilitarianism. Because utilitarianism only distinguishes happiness to a greater segment of the society. We as a society believed in Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. We as a nation, we as a civilization believed in Sarve Jano Sukhino Bhavantu. And that is where your G20 theme comes from. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. You have this one planet in the entire solar system with the most unique ingredients. save this for the future generation. Is the message that we gave the world. And today, democracy is the only surviving tool. And democracy is not an easy task, because just see what is happening in Pakistan. A democratically elected prime minister is in the prison, ill-treated. Let alone, how many of you all follow cricket? How many of you are following IPL? Let alone the fact that he's a former prime minister. He is a World Cup winning captain for Pakistan. Even in India, when Azharuddin was caught and when he was held guilty for match fixing, even he was not lynched the way Imran Khan is being treated in Pakistan today. So do you call Pakistan a successful democracy? Do you call China a successful democracy? Businessmen are in hiding. Jack Ma was in hiding for 6 years. He was supposed to be one of the most aspiring richest men in the world. But we today are a successful democracy. When elections are happening, you proudly go press and you flaunt and you say, Karnataka, please vote. And this is one state, though Bangalore is regrettably recorded around 54%, as a state we have recorded 72%. So you see any other state across India which even crosses 60. There are states, of course, I'm not discrediting that one. You are one of those democratically active, democratically charged, democratically literate states. In United States of America, whenever an election happens, they always suspect a Russian intervention to have hacked their EVMs. They still vote in their ballot boxes signing a particular paper. But look at us, how technologically advanced. So that is the reason I want to say today that today's society is a society which is driven strongly on the ideals of globalization. The same room 1 year ago I spoke about communism, and today on the same platform I'm telling you that socialism and communism as a concept has failed. Only democracy has prevailed. Any country at the face of it, even if they claim that they are communists or a country which strongly believes on communistic ideology, they have divided that into three forms. Karl Marx communism, Lenin communism, Mao communism. Mao communism is nothing but another name for today's capitalism. China says they are a communist country, but they say they disagree with Karl Marx. They say that we believe in Mao's communism. What is Mao's communism? Again, it goes back to globalization. Again, they believe in foreign direct investment. Again, they believe in investing in other countries. And Sri Lanka is such a laboratory for China. Give loans, make sure that the country does not recover, occupy the territory. And again, build artificial islands or territorialize the area. Discrediting the entire concept of nationality principles of international law. As a part of your research, how many of you have read Malcolm and Shaw? How many of you have read Brolin? Please go to your library. This is your grunt norm as students of international law and globalization. So the future lies in the hands of globalization. And these 20 years, the next 20 years we have, India is going to be the global leaders. We have gone back to that track, irrespective of the government in Delhi, government in Karnataka. We have gone back to that track wherein we have gone to hold the baton of Vishwaguru. We have gone back to teaching the world that war is not the solution, business is the solution. Trade and commerce is the solution. You help me in areas where I am weak, I will export things to you where you need. Humanity is the solution. You cannot change the world order. I repeat, you cannot change the world order as the youth living in this society who has the baton of taking the global leadership forward. Be nationalistic citizens first, be a proud Indian, and then be a global citizen. If you directly jump the gun to become a global citizen without having your own national consciousness, it's like a body without a soul. So in this entire jargon of becoming a manner and representing a different country, don't lose the consciousness of being a patriotic individual, a nationalistic citizen. Global, you are a good Indian, naturally you will become a good global citizen. And as future leaders, I want to go back to what I was telling you a couple of seconds ago, that in order to change the world order, you need to ruffle some feathers. With that, I conclude my remark. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Aditya Kamal to introduce the executive board.
Thank you.
So I'm here to introduce the executive board. First of all, I'd like to introduce Samini Das, who is the Honorable Speaker of Lok Sabha and who is not present here because he couldn't attend the inaugural session. And Samanil Das is has a major in political science with a specialization in international politics, followed by a law degree. He wishes to pursue international criminal law, human rights, humanitarian law, and international policy development further. A mother, parliamentary debater, adjudicator, mooter, socio-political writer, and critic, playwright and dramatist, Samanil or Neil, as he popularly referred to by all his friends and acquaintances. He has been running since class 7, and he has also been two-time consecutive Best Speaker in the Delhi University Mock Indian Parliament and in other institutions such as IIT Delhi, Symbiosis Law School, and Symbiosis School of Economics, Pune, and many other institutions. With this, we welcome you, sir. Next up, inviting Mitansh Seth, Chairperson of ECOSOC. Mitansh is deeply passionate about dialogue, debate, and deliberation. Curiously interested in legal, economical, geopolitical, and philosophical issues, pondering and conversing over such topics, remaining a favorite pastime of his. A CLAT 2023 topper, he has currently completed his A levels and has secured a seat in LNU Jodhpur, while also being given an offer from the top Russell Group Law Universities in the UK. We welcome you. Inviting Harish Bose, chairperson of DISEC. He prefers to keep his description precise and just enough to cater for the requirements. A law aspirant currently studying at KLEC, this evening member has attended about 30 conferences in a very little span. His wide interests include public policy, economics, international polity, philosophy, and mythology. We invite you. And also, we would like to invite the Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, Samad Murthy. Sorry. Samad Murthy is a fourth-year student at KLE Law College, Society's Law College, Bengaluru. He has an eye out for legal interpretations that flip the law on its head. When he is not going about the aforementioned activity, you can find him in monologuing about constitutional law or criminal law and bare jurisprudence. We invite you. It's a privilege having you. And last but not the least, inviting the Secretary General, Mr. Aditya Nayak, who is currently pursuing his bachelor's in law and business administration from KLE Law College, Bengaluru. His interests lie in a wide array of matters, which primarily lie under law, finance, and innovation. As far as his debating experience is concerned, he has participated as well as served as an executive board member in 80 plus nations, as well as international model events, conferences till date, including BITS1 Goa, BITS1 Hyderabad, and NITS, while emerging as a winner in various state and national debates all around the country. He also carries a unique distinction of having qualified to the knockouts of every final national moot court competition he has participated in. Apart from his accolades in debate, he has done different roles such as managing conveyance, IP filing, registration, and has also headed marketing and branding at Series A VC funded startups. He also interned under the chairman of Karnataka State Bar Council and now finds himself in the private equity and VC team of the most prestigious law firms in the country, including JSA, Indus Law, and Trilegal. In this pursuit of constantly learning new disciplines, he intends to be approachable and resourceful whenever any instance is served. We invite you. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya. I now request our principal, Dr. J. M. Mallikarjunaya, to render the presidential remarks. Sir, please.
Good morning. Distinguished Speaker and Chief Guest of today's Intra inaugural program. And the beloved, dear friend of KLE family always, Mr. Manoj. My dear colleague, Dr. Manoj, colleagues of the dais, and my dear student friends. There cannot be any better way to start this program than the wonderful Sahitya that was presented to us by our beloved delegate, Miss Sahitya. I don't know if you have observed the Sahitya she presented. It's so contextual and so profound. For my limitations on my vocabulary and expression, I don't dare translate it. Of course, for my satisfaction, I may reiterate the Sahitya presented by her. ಬೇವಿನ ಬೀಜವ ಬಿತ್ತಿ ಬೆಲ್ಲದ ಕಟ್ಟೆಯ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಗೋವಿನ ಹಾಲೆರೆದು ಜೇನಿನ ತುಪ್ಪ ಸುರಿದರೆ ಬೇವು ಕಹಿಯ ಬಿಡಬಹುದು. That means you must have come across the saying, as you sow, so shall you reap, isn't it? I must congratulate Team Man Committee of KLE Law College. Congratulations to you for trying to sow the mango seed during mango season. Instead of sowing the neem seed and trying to grow mango out of it, one committee is very meaningfully trying to sow the mango seed. Congratulations to you. And I must congratulate the delegates too, for the reason I have come across friends and students who have participated in this MAN activity. So many are the benefits of it I have noticed. The whole personality gets transformed. I'm trying to prefer the word transformed over changed. Change can happen either way. The transformation in personality comes in is what I have seen in those candidates who actively participated in one activity. So I congratulate you for having decided to be part of this Intraman. And I think you also have got trained, I believe. If I may list the benefits that I noticed for people who participated in MAN, the list goes on. The language abilities, communication, sharp thinking, and general knowledge. Even the respect you command when you stand, when you walk, when you talk, inclusive of the dressing sense. These are few of the aspects I noticed very conspicuously in the people who have participated in this activity. That I'm sure will shape the personality of you, and consequently participation in one activity can be called, according to me, a personality development. So please do take the initial enthusiasm forward. You will develop professionally, your personality development happens. And I often mention this. It's paradoxical. Any profound, important, interesting literature that is prescribed as a part of your curriculum, I don't know why it feels boring. Yes? Whereas the 10 other books, each in one go, you may study. Let me confess that happened to me too. During our senior secondary schools, in languages, there used to be two papers. I don't know why the first paper was called the detailed, the second paper was called the non-detailed. People of my generation may understand. In non-detailed, there used to be a very interesting, important literature that used to be prescribed. One such great literature that was prescribed to us was Purnachandra Tejaswi's Carvalho, which I did not appreciate as a student. Later I figured out why I did not appreciate it as a student, and it is such a fantastic piece of literature. The point I am trying to drive home is, paradoxically, or for whatever reason, however thoughtfully, in order to make the learning a joyful experience, we must have prescribed some material as a part of your curriculum. Somehow that goes unnoticed and sounds not interesting. Whereas the activities like these, which are not prescribed but recommended, the recommended activities are successful enough in bringing you joy and making the learning a joyful experience. That's another reason I would suggest you to be part of this activity more meaningful. And gone are those days where you depended on the teachers for knowledge, for the transformation that happened in the information age. Information is in abundance, and now we have come to realize that information per se, I think I can say, is useless. Information per se is useless. Knowledge per se is not significant. You may think over and understand what I am trying to say. While information per se is useless, knowledge per se is not significant. Application of that knowledge, blend of that knowledge, and since research is nothing but advancement of existing knowledge, in the course of applying the knowledge that you acquire, if you start your journey with rejecting and refuting the existing theories and dogmas, and with your sharp thinking, if you try to find better answers than the answers that exist, or accept the theories and dogmas that exist after thorough verification and filtering, then the journey towards whatever you must have planned becomes meaningful, and success becomes attainable soon. This activity, in fact, lets you acquire lot of knowledge which was evidenced by the speaker's speech, the way you responded to the speech, the kind of answers that you gave, did give me an understanding that you are all knowledgeable. And it's time now for you to apply that knowledge more meaningfully by refuting to accept it without put it to the stricter test of evidence as law students. This activity, I believe, would help you develop the ability and the skills, and with a hope and wish that you will shape yourself in the process of participation in this learning activity. The advantages I'm expecting should come to you through this participation is what you will be blessed with at the end of this activity, I believe. Thus, once again, wish you all a great, joyful learning experience for 2 days. Congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Aditya Prakash Naik, Secretary General, KLE Law College, MUN 2023, to therefore commence the MUN. So, please.
Very good morning to one and all present here. The dignitaries on the stage, our beloved principal, IQAC coordinator, and the honorable chief guest. My dear delegates and distinguished members of the executive board, I'm very grateful that you are present here on this occasion of Intra. As far as why this occasion is momentous, this basically is day one of the larger picture, that is KLE SLC MUN 2023, which we are organizing at the end of the year. Now, as far as this immune society is concerned, I'd like to keep my speech very short and with a simple chain of thought. As far as this immune society is concerned, it does not have a face in the sense that there are a lot of people who are capable of representing it and what the society is known for, right? It does not have a structure in the sense that it is amoebic, in the sense that we are participating in conferences all over the country. We are not just restricted to a particular city. But what we have is a backbone and a heart as of today. I've seen this immune society grow. I started in my first year, so it's been 4 years since I've been a part of the immune society. And over a period of time, I've come across some brilliant seniors. Some of them are seated in the audience today, Mr. Harish, who have imparted great knowledge and great amount of responsibility as well. Now, there are just a few things that I'd like to state before I conclude and commence this conference. I'm pretty sure that your research with respect to your specific agendas, right from biological weapons to electoral bonds to carbon credits. But what I'd like to state is what I've learned in the last 9 to 10 years, right, being in the circuit. And I'm not sure if you're able to reciprocate the same feeling that I had on day one of my immune, because the only thing that I had was a shirt which was gifted to me by my dad, which was his size, right? And I wore it on all 3 days of the conference with different accessories. That is how I started. So I was not just insecure about my public speaking capabilities, but also my attire on day one. But as I stand here today, there are a few things that I learned. One thing being that however knowledgeable you are and however good your public speaking skill is, unless you have a degree of humility, honesty, and accountability to yourself, all of this can be taken away from you within a single day. Now, as far as I've seen a lot of people throughout my career who I've cherished, who I look up to as my role model. But at the end of the day, unless and until you view yourself as an ideal person or capable to mentor people or be respectful to start with, all of this is utopian in nature. So having said that, I believe that something that you have to start with over the course of time, you guys will attend a lot of conferences. You might be called to events like this in different capacities, like an executive board member or the chief guest. And one thing being that you might be under the perception that you have a right to certain things when when you're invited to such occasions. But unless and until you have the honesty, that is with respect to your preparation, the accountability as an individual, right? All of this can be taken away, and you will find out that it's just a mere matter of privilege that that particular institution offers for your presence. So with that, I will leave you, and I do not on occasions like this. It's pretty. It's a matter of formality that you have to keep everything in a document and read it out so that you are sure of your words. And you usually start your speech with a quote or a sloka from the Bhagavad Gita, but my incompetence allows neither. So I'm just gonna conclude my speech over here. And with that, with the powers vested in me, I'd like to declare KLE SLC Intra 2023 open. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aditya Prakash. I now call upon Ms. Paramita, a student of our college, to give the vote of thanks.
Good morning, good morning to everybody present here. I would like to begin by extending my gratitude to the principal, dear Malika Nair sir, our chief guest, Mr. Naman Naftali, and our ITAC coordinator, Naman sir, and vice principal Anita Naman, who is unfortunately not here. I would also like to thank the EB members, our Secretary General Aditya Nair, Mr. Harish, Mr. Mithansh, Samarth, Aditya Kamal, and also Samyani Das, who is in coach. And all the members of the MAN committee who are here, and for all your hard work and tireless efforts. Thank you so much.
I thank everyone for being present here.
Small announcement: the committee will start at 11 o'clock. Thank you. Kindly note, LS19 will be utilized for the Lok Sabha committee, LS21 for the ECOSOC committee, and LS22 for the DICE. All this. Thank you.